All right, Hotep, everybody. This is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. It is Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, and we are live. So 123 million people watched Super Bowl 58. They watched the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the San Francisco 49ers 25-22. People are talking about Usher's performance and bringing out Alicia Keys and her and Lil Jon. A number of different artists he brought out. But something else people are talking about is Andra Day performing the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. And you have some MAGA conservatives, some MAGA Republicans who are going into a meltdown because the Black National Anthem was performed at the Super Bowl, okay? And you have people, some of them posting all types of negative comments. You have now on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. I posted this. I shared this post from. This is from the dailymail.co.uk. I shared this post today, February 13th. Okay, and they have an article here, and you have people commenting about the Black National Anthem being performed. If we look here, and here's what I said. Caption is Super Bowl fans slam Andra Day's Black National Anthem. Super Bowl fans slam Andra Day's Black National Anthem. And I said this is the BS I was talking about on the African History Network show on Sunday, when we broadcasted the African History Network show Sunday, right after the game, Sunday, February 11th. People are ignorant of history. Lift Every Voice and Sing became the Black National Anthem in 1919. It was adopted by the NAACP National Anthem. We're going to get into some of that history on today's show. This was 12 years before the Star Spangled Banner became the national anthem for the U.S. in 1931 when it passed Congress and was signed in the law. Okay, that was 1931. So I've been looking at a number of articles dealing with this, a number of posts, etc. We're going to look at a few of these comments and deal with the history behind this also. So there was an article from the rap.com dealing with Matt Gaetz. Okay, Sugar Daddy Matt Gaetz out of Florida. This piece right here, Matt Gaetz says he's not watching the Super Bowl because of Black National Anthem performance. And I actually posted about this on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network as well. And I posted on our Instagram page, the AHN show also. You know, Instagram, I got a lot of comments. This right here, I posted this here. This is from the rap.com. Let me flip over to this. Okay. Matt Gaetz says, hold on, I want to go to the Facebook post that I did. Okay, right here. This is from the rap.com, WRAP. Matt Gaetz says he's not watching Super Bowl because of Black National Anthem performance. Okay. Sugar Daddy Matt Gaetz, a Republican from Florida, House of Representatives, MAGA supporter, big Donald Trump supporter. I call him the white R. Kelly. If you get the House investigation into his allegedly trafficking a 17-year-old for the purposes of sex, I'll call him Sugar Daddy Matt Gaetz, a.k.a. the white R. Kelly. But that's another broadcast. If we look at this article here from the Wrap, Matt Gaetz was talking to his wife, and that's a whole nother conversation too. But Florida Representative Matt Gaetz added his voice to the chorus surrounding Super Bowl 58 on Sunday, while also stating he was not in favor of a classic song often sung by a chorus. Matt Gaetz tweeted an exchange he had with his wife where he announced he and his wife would not be watching the Super Bowl. and after his partner Ginger asked why, Matt Gaetz said, who supports Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow the government with the January 6, 2021 insurrection. Matt Gaetz said they're desecrating America's national anthem by playing something called the Black National Anthem. Okay, this is Matt Gaetz' tweet. Okay, you can follow Matt Gaetz on Twitter, X, at Matt Gaetz, GATZ. Let him know what you think about him and his comments. And then his wife responded, does that mean Cardi is performing? Cardi B. I guess they thought Cardi B was going to perform the Black National Anthem. And in reading some of these comments, I'm getting the impression that, well, first of all, these people are ignorant and don't understand history. But I'm getting the impression that they think somehow African Americans are trying to replace the Star Spangled Banner, which is the national anthem, and I call it the white national anthem. I get the impression that some of them think that we're trying to replace the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem, with the Black national anthem. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. But in looking at some of these comments and understanding their ignorance, this is the impression I'm getting from some of them. Okay. So now we know Grammy Award winning singer Andra Day performed Lift Every Voice and Sing as well. And also the national anthem was performed by Reba McEntire, country artist Reba McEntire. America the Beautiful was performed by Post Malone. Okay, so this was all at the Super Bowl. So then we see comments from Megyn Kelly. So Megyn Kelly was on Fox News. Then Megyn Kelly went to MSNBC, pissed off Tamron Hall. Tamron Hall leaves MSNBC, gets her own show. Megyn Kelly separated from MSNBC because she had poor ratings. So there was also this piece here from, what is this? There's one from Newsweek, okay, dealing with, let me see, which one was that from Megyn Kelly? No, Salon.com. There was an article from Salon.com about Megyn Kelly getting slammed for complaining about inclusion of Black National Anthem. Okay, this piece right here from Salon.com. Critics slam Megyn Kelly for complaining about inclusion of Black National Anthem at Super Bowl. This one right here. So you can check this one out as well. Now, and this is some of the comments in like the post from on Facebook from dailymail.co.uk, the article I'm going to show you in the post that they did of Andra Day and the caption they had. I went through and read some of the comments from white people. I read some of the comments on when I posted about this on our Instagram page. And I'm coming to the conclusion that some white people think that we're trying to replace the white national anthem, and we're not. Megyn Kelly said we already have a national anthem and it includes everybody. Well, Megyn, obviously you haven't studied the history of the white national anthem, because it doesn't include everybody. Not by a chance. Conservative media personality Megyn Kelly slammed Andra Day's rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, also known as the Black National, which was performed during the Super Bowl pregame ceremony. Quote, the so-called Black National Anthem does not belong at the Super Bowl. Now, the NFL 2023-2024 season, NFL is like 56, 57% African-American. We're the majority of the players. If we're the majority of the players, why would not the Black National Anthem be performed if we're the majority of the players? Maybe Megyn Kelly thinks the Black National Anthem is Back That Thing Up or WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion or something like that. Okay, but let's see here. Hold on. Let me close this out. Yeah, so she goes on to say, and I gotta close this out so I can get to this. Okay, hold on. All right, close out that ad. The so-called Black National Anthem does not belong at the Super Bowl. We already have a national anthem and includes everyone. Now, Megyn Kelly hosts Sirius XM's The Megyn Kelly Show. She wrote this on social media. The post spurred critics to clap back at Megyn Kelly, with many advising her to stick to her lame political jokes and accusing her of racism. Quote, the so-called blonde journalist does not belong judging who and how we celebrate being Americans at the Super Bowl. Okay, she does not belong judging who and how we celebrate being Americans at the Super Bowl. Stick to lame political takes, thanks, wrote one user on X. Salon correspondent Brian Karam wrote, quote, how to declare your racism in a tweet. How to declare your racism in a tweet. Now, Megyn Kelly also made jabs at Usher's halftime show, okay, writing, quote, not into Usher or his halftime show. However, I do appreciate that my kids haven't had anyone's vagina exposed to them on screen as they innocently wait for the football to start. She said, hi, J-Lo, Shakira. Okay. So now there were some people on social media, largely white, but not all of them were white, who didn't like Usher's halftime performance. And what's important to note, and I went through and looked at this, so I think I'm pretty correct on this. All the acts that performed with Usher were African American. Okay, her, Alicia Keys, Lil Jon, Ludacris, Will I Am. They were all African American. So for some people, especially Trump supporters, they may be upset with that. Okay, he had a marching band. He brought the Kappas out to dance. I mean, the step, shimmy. They didn't drop their canes. Okay, so I mean, so a lot of people were upset with the halftime show. But it wasn't because it was a good performance. I didn't see all of it. I watched clips of it on social media. I haven't watched the NFL game since Colin Kaepernick left the league. But, you go back and look at it, it was all African-Americans performing, the artists. So some people are upset about that as well. Then we have this piece here from the dailymail.co.uk. Now, this was the article that was referenced in what I posted on social media, okay, about Andre Day. Super Bowl fans are left split by Andre Day's performance of the Black National Anthem ahead of the game, as Megyn Kelly says song doesn't belong in pregame proceedings. Okay, they have some of the same information that we just talked about. They referenced Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz said they're desecrating America's anthem by playing something called the Black National Anthem. Yeah, well, the domestic terrorists that Donald Trump sent to the U.S. Capitol to interrupt a constitutionally mandated bicameral, both chambers session of both the House and the Senate to certify the Electoral College votes. Well, they desecrated the U.S. Capitol building, and they tried to throw the government and keep the votes from being certified for Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. No, notice how Matt Gaetz is silent on that. You want to talk about desecration? You had people having bowel movements in the U.S. Capitol building. And this idiot wants to talk about desecration. You had 140 Capitol Hill police officers assaulted by the domestic terrorists. But Matt Gaetz, Sugar Daddy Matt Gaetz, who I call the white R. Kelly, he wants to say that the Black National Anthem being performed at the Super Bowl and 56% of the players in the NFL are African American, they're the majority, somehow that's desecration. Okay. Now, you had some people defending the performance as well. Democratic Representative Richie Torres, the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, has been part of our nation's history since the early 20th century. The erasure of African American history as American history the erasure of African American history as American history is a form of racism that runs deep on the far right. Chad Johnson said, holy expletive, Andre Day absolutely killed. That's Chad Ochocinco, former NFL player, absolutely killed. Lift Every Voice and Sing. PJ Green said that was a Black national anthem to remember. Amazing from Andre Day and everyone up there. Okay, so read the rest of this here also. Okay, interesting article, and it gives some background history. So when we look at this, and I'll make sure that's all I want to get to. Yeah. Some people may ask the question, so Michael Imhotep, why do you call the Star Spangled Banner the white national anthem? That's a very good question. We're going to get to that. And I've dealt with this before back in 2017 where Colin Kaepernick had his protest and was banned. He took a knee and he was banned from the NFL. I did a big presentation on this. First, let's look at some history of Lift Every Voice and Sing and what's called the Black National Anthem. Okay. And there's a couple of pieces on this. There's one from CNN, and I've dealt with this in some of my lectures. So I'm going to refer to some of my slides on this also. Well, if we look at this piece here, there's a couple good articles that I've looked at. It was a number of articles, but it's two that I'll show you. One of them is from CNN.com, and this is from September 10th, 2020. September 10th, 2020. Also, everybody, I'm going to give you information about the online history classes that I teach. A new class that started up February 3rd. We have class number 2, Saturday, February 10th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. You can register there and watch last week's class. Okay, what makes Lift Every Voice and Sing so iconic? This is from CNN.com. So very quickly here. So it was written by James Weldon Johnson, okay? And James Weldon Johnson was a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Somebody tell Roland Martin that, because Roland and I go back and forth. Well, he comes at me with this nonsense, but James Weldon Johnson was a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, my fraternity. Now, Lift Every Voice and Sing was written and composed by the Johnson brothers, a pair of influential African-American men in Jacksonville, Florida. James Weldon Johnson wrote the lyrics, okay? And I'm going to give you some background story on this. And his brother, John Rosamond Johnson, who was a classically trained composer, wrote the melody for it. They worked together their whole lives, first in show business and later in the pursuit of civil rights. They both saw artistic and cultural excellence as a key to Black advancement in America. And here's James Weldon Johnson here, okay? The elder Johnson was a lawyer, diplomat, professor, prolific writer, and poet, and the first American leader of the first African-American leader of the NAACP. At the time he wrote the song in 1899, he was the school principal of the segregated Stanton School in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, the Stanton School in Jacksonville, Florida. All right, now that's where the hymn debuted the following year, 1900, sung by 500 children at an event celebrating Black history. Okay, and he was asked to deliver a speech in 1900 on the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, which is February 12th, commemorating, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. All right. Now here's a picture of John Rosamond Johnson, his brother. Okay. The younger Johnson, John Rosamond Johnson, trained at the New England Conservatory of Music. During his long musical career, Johnson composed and performed in stage musicals and operettas, and his work spanned multiple genres from vaudeville and traditional theater to spirituals and other deeply rooted African-American traditions. Okay. All right. So you can read the rest of this. They have the lyrics here. Now, when I was in elementary school, we had to learn the lyrics to Lift Every Voice and Sing. Okay. Now, this song became, it was adopted in 1919 by the NAACP as the Negro National Anthem. Now, this was 12 years before the Star Spangled Banner was adopted by Congress in 1931, and Herbert Hoover was president. But it passed Congress in 1931 to become the national anthem. Okay. It is an omnipresent part of African-American worship traditions and an enduring refrain for great Black artists. Okay, so read the rest of this here. And I want to go to my slide presentation. What makes Lift Every Voice and Sing so iconic? What makes Lift Every Voice and Sing so iconic? All right, let me go to my slides here in just a minute to show you this, to give you some background history here. And all this ties into history, and the people's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past, in the present, and the future to meet the needs of the community. Our history teaches us about our successes, our failures. It teaches us how we got here, how things came to be, so we understand where we need to go from here. So WatchTheYard.com had this article. Did you know that the man who wrote Lift Every Voice and Sing was a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated? Now, do school children today have to learn the Black National Anthem? Because I remember elementary school, middle school, when we had, our school assemblies in the auditorium, we didn't sing the Star Spangled Banner. This is in Detroit, okay? We didn't sing the Star Spangled Banner. We sung Lift Every Voice and Sing. So let me know, do school children today learn the Black National Anthem? So the song was written by James Weldon Johnson in 1899, adopted by the NAACP as the Negro National Anthem in 1919. Now, 1919 was also the year of the Red Summer. The Red Summer was the year after World War I ends. And we cover this in the second class that I teach on Sundays, Black Resistance Movements, dealing with history from 1800 to 1968. And you had 25 major race riots all across the country the year after World War I ends. Okay. It's called the Red Summer. And James Weldon Johnson was the one who coined the term the Red Summer. He named it the Red Summer because the streets of America were flowing with blood, because you had white supremacists who were attacking African Americans, and we were fighting back, shooting back. Former World War I veterans, African American veterans, they had guns. They're fighting back, protecting their communities. James Weldon Johnson also in 1917 organized the Silent March of 10,000 African Americans marching down Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, demanding a federal anti-lynching bill. Okay, that was the Silent March of 1917. Right. So if we look at some of this background history, in 1899, a young poet and school principal in Jacksonville, Florida, named James Weldon Johnson, was asked to address a crowd in Jacksonville, Florida, for the coming anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birthday. So this is going to be February 12th, 1900. Okay, February 12th, 1900, the following year. Just 2 decades had passed since the Reconstruction era, and Reconstruction ends in 1877, which was 1865 to 1877, a period of time right after the Civil War ends in 1865. So just 2 decades had passed since the Reconstruction era, and lynchings were on the rise in the segregated South. Instead of preparing an ordinary speech, James Weldon Johnson decided to write a poem. That poem started with the words, "Lift every voice," evoking the struggle and resilience of our ancestors. Okay, this is what he said. He said it was evoking the struggle and resilience of our ancestors. Now, the following year, a chorus of 500 school children performed the song at the Abraham Lincoln birthday celebration. The song quickly took off, becoming a rallying cry for African-American communities in the South, or as one observer noted at the time, quote, "a collective prayer," end quote, a collective prayer. Now, it was embraced as a hymn in churches and performed at graduation ceremonies and in school assemblies. Within 20 years, the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, adopted "Lift Every Voice and Sing" as its official song. And this was in 1919. They adopted it as the Negro National Anthem. Okay, 12 years before the Star Spangled Banner becomes the white national anthem, or the national anthem. For generations to come, it would be known widely as the Black National Anthem. Now, for more information on this, read the article from the Washington Post, "Lift Every Voice and Sing, the story behind the Black National Anthem that Beyonce sang." So that article came out when Beyonce performed at Coachella. This article is from April 16, 2018. Beyonce performed at Coachella and sang the Black National Anthem. Okay, this article right here, "Lift Every Voice and Sing, the story behind the Black National Anthem that Beyonce sang." Okay, and Beyonce had a marching band there, blew everybody away as well. So they have some history here dealing with the Black National Anthem. All right, now let's look at some history surrounding the Star Spangled Banner. And a lot of people don't know this history. So the Star Spangled Banner was written by Francis Scott Key, September 14th, 1814, during the War of 1812 against Great Britain. Also look at this article here from Newsweek.com. "Black National Anthem sends MAGA into meltdown." This is from February 12th, 2024. Black National Anthem sends MAGA into meltdown. They just don't know what to do with themselves. Okay. And it talks about how prominent supporters of Donald Trump were furious with the inclusion of the Black National Anthem at the Super Bowl. Former Arizona Senate candidate Carrie Lake, the election denier Carrie Lake, responded to a picture showing her sitting down during a performance of the Black National Anthem at last year's Super Bowl 2023. Carrie Lake said on X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday, February 11th, 2024, quote, "I'm still not standing for this divisive garbage. One nation, one anthem. One nation, one anthem." See, once again, I get the impression that some of these people think that we're trying to replace the white national anthem with the Black national anthem. That's not the case. No. The account End Wokeness, the social media account called End Wokeness, added, quote, "There is no such thing as a Black national anthem." Really? If you have a problem with the American national anthem, feel free to leave. Now, see, this is the typical response from white supremacists. This is the typical response from white supremacists who are ignorant of history. Okay, then they talk about Sugar Daddy Matt Gaetz, the white R. Kelly again. have this comment there. Okay, so read the rest of this. Now, just so people understand, these are the same people who vote against policies that are beneficial for African Americans. I just want you to notice the connection between the two, between what they post on social media, which reflects their ideology, and how they actually vote. All right, now let's look at this excellent article here from SmithsonianMag.com. Name of this piece is "Where's the Debate on Francis Scott Key's Slaveholding Legacy?" Where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? Okay. Now, Francis Scott Key was the man who wrote the Star Spangled Banner. Okay. And he wrote it September 14th, 1814, during the War of 1812, which was 1812 to 1814. You can read, for more information on this, read this piece from history.com, official website of the History Channel. Name of this article is, this deals with 10 things about 10 things you may not know about the Star Spangled Banner. 10 things you may not know about the Star Spangled Banner. 10 surprising facts about the national anthem and the man who wrote its lyrics. This is from September 24th, 2021. Okay. And it goes through
Bounty versus the family dishcloth.
It goes through and it talks about Francis Scott Key intended his verses to be song lyrics, not poetry. Let's see here. He wrote it September 14th, 1814. He wrote it. The song was not originally entitled "The Star Spangled Banner." It was originally called "Defense of Fort McHenry," because he was watching the attack on Fort McHenry by the British, Fort McHenry in Baltimore. Okay. On March 3rd, 1931, after 40 previous attempts failed, a measure passed Congress and was signed into law that formally designated the Star Spangled Banner as the national anthem of the United States. So that wasn't until 1931. Okay. All right. Francis Scott Key was a slave owner. Yes, he was. He also thought African people were mentally inferior. We're going to come to that. So read this piece here. 10 things you may not know about the Star Spangled Banner. And that's at history.com, official website of the History Channel. Now, if we look at this really good article from SmithsonianMag.com, this is the official magazine website of the Smithsonian Institute. Where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? During his lifetime, abolitionists ridiculed Francis Scott Key's words, sneering that America was more like the land of the free and the home of the oppressed. More like the land of the free and the home of the oppressed. So this is from July 1st, 2016 by Christopher Wilson. I want to start here on page 2 of the article and close out these ads. All right. I want to go to page 2 right here. They show a painting of Francis Scott Key. And there's a caption here underneath the painting that says, Francis Scott Key, a slave-holding lawyer from Old Maryland, from an Old Maryland plantation family, wrote the song that would in 1931 become the national anthem and proclaim our nation the land of the free. Okay, now he's from a Maryland, he's from a slave, he was a slaveholder from a slaveholding family. Okay, but he wants to proclaim the United States as the land of the free. So the article says, however, we failed to do the same with our national anthem's composer, Francis Scott Key. All men are created equal in the land of the free. Both those models sprang from the pens of men with quite narrow views of equality and freedom. And previously they were talking about Thomas Jefferson. The seeming contradictions between Thomas Jefferson's slaveholding history, deeply racist personal views, his support of the institution of slavery in his political life, and his assertion of human rights in the Declaration of Independence, in many ways parallels Francis Scott Key's story. In many ways parallels Francis Scott Key's story. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was a slave-holding lawyer from Maryland, from an old Maryland plantation family, who, thanks to a system of human bondage, had grown rich and powerful. Who, thanks to a system of human bondage, had grown rich and powerful. When he wrote the poem that would, in 1931, become the national anthem and proclaim our nation the land of the free. Like Thomas Jefferson, Francis Scott Key not only profited from slaves, he harbored racist conceptions of American citizenship and human potential. He harbored racist conceptions of American citizenship and human potential. Africans in America, he said, were a distinct and inferior race of people, which all experience proves to be the greatest evil that afflicts a community. Now, all the MAGA Republicans out there saying the Black National Anthem being performed at the Super Bowl is divisive. How do you explain this? The man who wrote the white national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, said of Africans in America, he said they were a distinct and inferior race of people, which all experience proves to be the greatest evil that afflicts a community, end quote. Now, a few weeks after British troops in the War of 1812 stunned and demoralized America by attacking Washington, D.C., and setting the Capitol building and the White House ablaze on August 24th, 1814. They set the British set the White House on fire. Okay, now I don't know if that's the inspiration for the song, the roof is on fire. I don't know if that was the inspiration for the song, or if in 1675, December 1675, when during Bacon's Rebellion, when the rebels burned down the town of Jamestown, Virginia, maybe that was the inspiration for the roof is on fire. We don't need no water. You know, maybe I'm not sure. So in August 24th, 1814, the British set the U.S. Capitol building on fire, and they set the White House on fire. The British turned their attention to the vital seaport of Baltimore. Okay, this is during the War of 1812. On September 13th, 1814, hold on. On September 13th, 1814, British warships commenced an attack on Fort McHenry, which protected the city's harbor. For 25 hours, bombs and rockets. Hold on. Where did my cursor go? For 25 hours, bombs and rockets rained down on the fort, while Americans, still wondering whether their newfound freedom would really be so short-lived, awaited news of Baltimore's fate. Now, Francis Scott Key was stuck aboard a British ship where he had been negotiating a prisoner release and barred by the officers of the HMS Tonnant from leaving because he knew too much about their position, could only watch the battle and hope for the best. By the dawn's early, quote unquote, dawn's early light of the next day, Francis Scott Key saw the huge garrison flag now on view at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, waving above Fort McHenry, and he realized that the Americans had survived the battle and stopped the enemy advance. The poem he wrote celebrated the Star-Spangled Banner, the flag, as a symbol of the resilience and triumph of the United States. Ironically, while Francis Scott Key was composing the line over the land of the free, it is likely that black slaves were trying to reach British ships in Baltimore Harbor. It is likely that black slaves were trying to reach British ships in Baltimore Harbor. They knew that they were far more likely to find freedom and liberty under the Union Jack, which was the flag of the British, than they were under the Star-Spangled Banner. So during the War of 1812, you're going to have about 6,000 African Americans who go and fight. You're going to have runaway slaves who go and fight on behalf of the British, because the British say, they were the first ones to say, when this war, if you come fight for us, when this war is over, then we'll set you free. Okay, so it's about 6,000 runaway slaves that run away and fight on behalf of the British. Now, at the end of the War of 1812, the U.S. demands that the British return those 6,000 runaway slaves. The British refused to do so. All right, let's continue here. All right, now, okay, so additionally, now Francis Scott Key also used his office as district attorney of Washington, D.C. from 1833 to 1840 to defend slavery, okay, to defend slavery, and he attacked the abolitionist movement in several high-profile cases. So not only was he a white supremacist slave owner that thought that African people were mentally inferior, but he also used his position as district attorney there in Washington, D.C. to defend slavery and attack abolitionists. Now, in the mid-1830s, the abolitionist movement was gaining momentum. And with it came increased violence, particularly from pro-slavery mobs attacking free African Americans and white abolitionists, and other methods to silence the growing cries for abolition. Now, in a House of Representatives, in the U.S. House of Representatives in the United States, inundated with petitions from abolitionists calling for the ending or restriction of slavery, pro-slavery congressmen looked for a way to suppress the voices of abolitionists. In 1836, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a series of gag rules to table all anti-slavery petitions and prevent them from being read or discussed, raising the ire of people like John Quincy Adams, who saw restricting debate an assault on a basic First Amendment right of citizens to protest and petition. Now, we know John Quincy Adams is going to be a defense attorney for those Africans on the Amistad slave ship in the 1841 U.S. Supreme Court case, the United States versus the Amistad. He's going to help them get their freedom. So John Quincy Adams was the 6th president of the United States. He was the son of John Adams, the 2nd president of the United States. Right. Then Francis Scott Key also tried to have abolitionists executed. So in the same year, shortly after a race riot in Washington, D.C., 1836, shortly after a race riot in Washington, D.C., when an angry white mob set upon a well-known free black restaurant owner, Francis Scott Key likewise sought to crack down on the free speech of abolitionists he believed were riling things up in the city. Francis Scott Key prosecuted a New York doctor living in Georgetown for possessing abolitionist pamphlets, Okay. This was Reuben Crandall. In the resulting case, the U.S. versus Reuben Crandall, Francis Scott Key made national headlines by asking whether the property rights of slaveholders outweighed the free speech rights of those arguing for slavery's abolishment. He hoped to silence abolitionists who he charged wished to, quote, associate and amalgamate with the Negro. Okay, this is what Francis Scott Key said of abolitionists who were trying to free African people, while Francis Scott Key was working to keep them enslaved. Francis Scott Key hoped to silence abolitionists who he charged wished to, quote, associate and amalgamate with the Negro. Though Reuben Crandall's offense was nothing more than possessing abolitionist literature, Francis Scott Key felt that abolitionist free speech rights were so dangerous that he sought unsuccessfully to have Reuben Crandall hanged. He tried to have Reuben Crandall executed for possessing abolitionist pamphlets, not for trying to overthrow the government. Okay, not for trying to overthrow the government like the January 6th insurrection. Not that, just for having abolitionist pamphlets. This is the guy that wrote the Star Spangled Banner. So why, unlike Thomas Jefferson, does Francis Scott Key get a pass? Why this seeming contradiction? Perhaps it is because the writer of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, was also a president, and we judge, re-examine, and reconsider the legacy of our presidents fairly rigorously. No, it's because people don't understand history. That's why. You've been with people who are ignorant of history. President Abraham Lincoln certainly gets taken to task despite the Emancipation Proclamation, the 13th Amendment, and the Gettysburg Address. Many Americans are acutely aware of the ways in which his record conflicts with the myth of the great emancipator. However, while Francis Scott Key may not be as notable as a president, his poem is, and that was enough to make abolitionists ridicule his words during his lifetime by sneering that America was truly the land of the free and home of the oppressed. Okay, so check out the rest of this article here. This is from this is from SmithsonianMag.com. Name of this article: Where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? Where's the debate on Francis Scott Key's slaveholding legacy? Now, there was also a really good article from theroot.com that Dr. Jason Johnson wrote a few years ago. And we're going to go to, I want to go to that article here. But give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. And how you all like this type of information. Hopefully you're learning a lot. Be sure to register for the 10-week online history course that I teach on Saturdays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We teach this Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Class just started. Class number 2, Saturday, February 17th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the sessions live. All sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. So you can register right here. You can register here. And I have my lesson plan here for all 10 classes. Okay. So lesson plan is all laid out. So you can view the content that we're going to cover in these classes. So we have a ton of information. There's over 200 slides that I put together for the class. There's 80 to 100 articles that we reference. There's video clips, excerpts of interviews I've done with our scholars. So there's a lot. There's 15 books that we reference. So there's a lot that we cover here in the class. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Register for that right now. The content is PG-13, so you can use this with your children also. All right, now, okay, I want to look at this piece here from theroot.com because it talks about the Colonial Marines. And the Colonial Marines was a regiment with amongst the British of African Americans, most of them like runaway slaves. So if we look at this right here, Star Spangled Banner bigotry, the hidden racist history of the national anthem. Star Spangled Banner bigotry, the hidden racist history of the national anthem. This is from theroot.com. This is an article by Dr. Jason Johnson. Came out July 4th, 2016. And in the piece here, I want to go to the piece where he talks about the Colonial Marines. Okay. He says, a particular note. Close this out. He says, of particular note, was Francis Scott Key's opposition to the idea of the Colonial Marines. Francis Scott Key's opposition to the idea of the Colonial Marines. The Colonial Marines were a battalion The Colonial Marines were a battalion of runaway slaves who joined with the British Royal Army in exchange for their freedom. The Marines were not only a terrifying example of what slaves would do if given the chance, but also a repudiation of the white superiority that men like Francis Scott Key were so invested in. All of the ideas and concepts came together around August 24th, 1814 at the Battle of Bladensburg, where Francis Scott Key, who was serving as a lieutenant at the time, ran into a battalion of Colonial Marines. His troops were taken to the woodshed by the very black folks he disdained. So his regiment got their behinds kicked by the Colonial Marines, these runaway slaves, okay? And he fled back to his home in Georgetown to lick his wounds. The British troops, emboldened by their victory in Bladensburg, then marched into Washington, D.C., burning the Library of Congress, burning the U.S. Capitol building, and setting fire to the White House. You can imagine that Francis Scott Key was very much in his feelings, seeing black soldiers trampling on the city he so desperately loved. A few weeks later, in September of 1815, far from being a captive, Key I think he meant 1814. Far from being a captive, Key was on a British boat begging for the release of one of his friends, a doctor named William Benes. Francis Scott Key was on the boat waiting to see if the British would release his friend when he observed the bloody Battle of Fort McHenry in Baltimore on September 13th, 1814. America lost the battle, but managed to inflict heavy casualties on the British in the process. This inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner right then and there, but no one remembers that he wrote a full third stanza decrying the former slaves who were now working for the British Army. So the third stanza says, "And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more. Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight, the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave." Now, some people mistakenly say that, oh, the Star-Spangled Banner is a racist song because of the third stanza. No, I disagree. Star-Spangled Banner is a racist white supremacist song, period. It's not only because of the third stanza, it's because of who wrote it and his intent behind it. And this is why I call it the white national anthem. It was written by white people, for white people, about white people. And African people were dehumanized in it. So it's not just the third stanza, it's the entire song. This is why you have to understand history. Okay, now, the article goes on to say, in other words, Francis Scott Key was saying that the blood of all the former slaves and hirelings on the battlefield will wash away the pollution of the British invaders. With Key still bitter that some black soldiers got the best of him a few weeks earlier, the Star-Spangled Banner is as much a patriotic song as it is a diss track to black people who had the audacity to fight for their freedom. Perhaps that's why it took almost 100 years for the song to become the national anthem. So we know after 40 attempts in Congress, it became the national anthem in 1931. Okay. All right. So read the rest of this piece here from theroot.com. Name of this article: Star Spangled Banner, Star Spangled Bigotry, the hidden racist history of the national anthem. The hidden racist history of the national anthem. So you can see why Trump supporters love the song so much. All right. So I wanted to share that information with you all because I was seeing these different conversations on social media. I was looking at our Instagram page, the African History Net of the AHN show on Instagram, and the post that I did that showed. Let me see if I can find this post here. The post that I did about Matt Gaetz not liking the national anthem. I mean, not liking the Black national anthem being performed at the Super Bowl. And then people responding, oh, there's only one national anthem, things like that. Okay, this right here. Let's look at this. Okay, so I posted this on, this was February 12th. Okay, Monday, February 12th. And we look at some of the comments. People were saying, had some white people commenting as well, which is fine. It just helps if you know what you're talking about. We had some people commenting, and let me see what are the rest of the comments. Some people said that I was looking at comments on social media. Some of the posts that I did, some people were saying, oh, there's only one national anthem, etc. And it was leaving me to believe that, once again, people think that we're trying to replace the white national anthem. No, that's not the case. Follow me, the AHN show, at the AHN show on Instagram, because we have videos viewed like 100,000 times. Like if we look here, we got this one's viewed 56,000 times. Molly Jung Fast. Robert Hur didn't want to give Joe Biden a win. This one here I just posted today. Haley bashes Trump for comments about her husband in the military. That's viewed 10,000 times. And on Instagram, I only have 4,857 followers. So we're trying to get followers up. But I have videos, viewed like 75,000, 100,000 times. Weissman tears into her about HUR, not her performing at the Super Bowl. Robert Hur, U.S. attorney who investigated Joe Biden in the classified documents. Okay, so we have this one here dealing with Sexy Red saying she loves Donald Trump 13,000 times. Let me see some. We got some viewed. I think there was one I did have a Roland Martin viewed like it's over 100,000 times. This one right, 200,000. Roland Martin said Tim Scott lies exposed, a shocking video that's viewed 207,000 times. Biden and South Carolina Democrats, you're the reason Trump is a loser, 110,000 times. So we're trying to get our numbers up on Instagram, but we got views in there. Okay, now you can also support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App and through PayPal. PayPal.me/the AHN show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. Close that out because my mouse died on me just now, right during this broadcast. My wireless mouse. Scroll down right here. We got the information here. Cash App. This is our official Cash App account. $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it'll say Michael and show my picture there. Okay, so give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. Hopefully you learned a lot today. Register for the online class that I teach on Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a fantastic class. We had a great class, number 1. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And Saturday, February 17, 2024, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, class number 2 of Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We have my class lesson plan here as well, so you can read it and download it. It is extensive. So we do it over 200 slides I put together, 80 to 100 articles. We'll look at references for 15 books. We have video clips, excerpts of interviews I've done with some of our scholars like Professor James Small, Professor Kaba Kamene, Anthony Browder, Renoka Rashidi, and more. Okay, so the class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. You can register right now. As soon as you register, you can watch the class we did last week. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, you focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time. Also, for those in Detroit, I will be speaking at St. Francis Baptist Church, St. Francis Baptist Church on Sunday, February 18th, 2024, 1 p.m. for the Black History Month celebration. So we have the information right on the right on our Facebook page. I'm going to put it on. I'll put it on our website also, but it's on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and my personal page also. So it's free and open to the public. I will be speaking on Black resistance movements, arts and entertainment, economic empowerment, Black liberation theology. Okay, and we'll deal with some of the history of African American History Month as well. St. Francis Missionary Baptist Church is located at 7021 West Warren Avenue in Detroit, Michigan. This is Sunday, February 18th, 2024, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. All right. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time.